product that I bought recently that I thought I would demonstrate to you guys on how to use it. I like to do stamping, but I used to get really frustrated when I would stamp items and it wouldn't turn out quite the way I wanted it. So I got this. It's called Stamp Perfect. I got it, it's Hampton Art Stamp Perfect. It's a really pretty neat idea. I got it off of Blitsy. It was $21.45, I think. If you ordered $29.99 worth of merchandise from Blitsy, you could get free shipping. So I went ahead and ordered some layered stamps that I'll show you here shortly. I got this in about 2 days, so it really came very quickly. And again, it's called Stamp Perfect, and it comes with this little. It has a plastic cover on the top. Then it has these 2 magnets right here that'll hold your paper project down. I'm going to put them down here. Whew. These are very, very strong magnets. They hold your paper down when you're trying to stamp your project. And I'm going to just show you a little trick. If these things get stuck together like this, if you try to pull them apart like this, you'll never get them apart. What you have to do is you slide them apart. So be careful with these because they are what they call brittle magnets. They can break. You also get with this is a pad, find a foam pad that goes inside, and then here's a grid that you have on the bottom. And you can use clear stamps or you can use your rubber mounted stamps, and it works pretty well. When you use a clear stamp, you're going to want to use the foam pad, and when you use one of the rubber stamps, you would go ahead and use this base. I think what I like the most about it is that you can restamp your item several times if you don't like the way it looked initially. And I have several larger stamps that I've tried to use, and I've never been happy with how they turned out when I stamped them. So I was going to show you a couple examples of what I've done with this. This is one I got. It's a Graphic 45. I got it with the French Country paper, and it's one of these kind of rubber mounted stamps, and I stamped it, and it really did come out well. Now, I did stamp this about 3 times, but that's the nice thing about this great little tool is that you can stamp your project over and over until you get it to look the way you want. Then I bought these at a craft scrapbook show, these clear stamps that are kind of detailed type stamps. This is one that I liked, and I just never could manage to get a good stamp with it. It's a clock, and you can kind of see here that I did get a good stamp. Now I actually stamped this about 3 times to get this nice stamp with it. Because I know in the past when I've used bigger stamps or kind of detailed stamps, I've tried stamping with one of these dudes where I push down real hard, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Then I bought one of these things where you put your stamp on and you push down. But again, it's sometimes hard to get even pressure all the way around. Sometimes I had success, sometimes I didn't. So I went ahead and ordered one of these. This is a stamp that I've liked quite a bit, and it's very detailed kind of stamp, and I've never really gotten a particularly good result from it. So I was kind of messing around with it earlier, and now this, I will tell you, took 5 stamps, but I got a better stamp from this than I've ever had before using this Stamp Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it works. I am going to use one of my Heartfelt Creations Blazing Poppy Petal stamps, where you can go ahead, where I have the matching die cut to go with it. So oops, this is probably going to look a little backwards to you, but I'm going to go ahead and put in a piece of paper. Now, this was actually designed mostly to do cards, because you can see it's not that big. I don't do a lot of card making, I mostly do scrapbooking, so, but I go ahead and use it for scrapbooking because I can cut my project out. So I'm going to do the blazing poppies. I think I'm going to try to put it right here. So this is real easy. You just put the lid on this, then you bring it back, and I'm going to go ahead and ink it. Oh, I'm going to try one of my color box colors. Go ahead and use this. You can see I've used the stamp before because I've cleaned it off, and you can see some of the remains of the ink from previous stamping. So let's see how this works. One thing I've learned with this is when you put your cover down on top of your stamp, you don't need a lot of pressure to get it to stick to the top. Now this, because it's a thick stamp, I'm going to push down a little bit and see what I got. Well, you can see I didn't particularly get this fully stamped, but this is the beauty of this. I can go ahead and re-stamp my pad, my stamp. And on some of those others that I showed you earlier where I said I had to do 3 or 4 or 5 stamps, that's what I did until I got it to look the way I wanted it to. Now this is a thick stamp, and I probably should take this black foam out when I did this. Okay, we're getting better. But I still see on my big flower petal I'm not too crazy about it. So I'm just going to ink that center part a little bit, and hopefully I got this the way I want it. I did! And now I have a really nice, good stamp on here. So again, I kind of made a mistake. I should have taken this out and just done it on the grid. So these hold your paper down, which is another good thing, so the paper doesn't slide around. But now I've got a really nice stamp, and I can go ahead and use my die cuts to cut these out. And I've got a nice inked set of petals to do, because when I would use this before, sometimes I'd get a good stamp, sometimes I wouldn't. This seems to work pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to be good. That comes right off. I'm going to clean my stamp off. Okay. Yikes. It's kind of a mess. Okay. Now I was going to try to do a little different project. And of course, I was trying to make myself nice and prepared before I started this. I'm going to try to do a little bit of a layered effect. So I'm going to put my paper on this, and I am going to use a clear stamp. A couple of things I figured out when I did use this is that I kind of put my magnets away from the stamp that I'm using. And I've used various inks, and I did use, this is great stuff, Stays On, and it does stay on. When I cleaned the top of my Stamp Perfect off, my ink didn't particularly want to come off. I don't know, you can kind of see my little stain right there. I just couldn't seem to clean this off. Okay, so I am going to try, I have this little stamp set that I actually won at one of my scrapbook conventions that I went to. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put it right about here. So here you can, oops, and I've got it upside down, so that didn't help. Okay, so you can kind of see I've got my stamp here. And then again, just very lightly, you touch that, and you see your stamp is right here. And I am going to try, I just had my computer try to shut down on me. I'm going to try this color box. It's a kind of a pretty purple ink. Go ahead and stamp this. Okay, let's see what we got here. Push down, not too hard. And that turned out very well. I don't really need to re-ink this, so I'm going to move this one to the side and I'll clean that off in a little bit. But here's the great part about when you want to layer stamps. I have this little kind of flower petal that I'm going to put in the middle. So you can put this on here and place it any way you want to, where you think it should work. Press down, and then you ink this, and you're going to get a really great layer on this. So I'm doing this kind of periwinkle blue. Let's see how this looks. Alright, so now I've kind of got two colors in there, and I like the way that looks. So I'm going to take this one off, but I'm going to try to do some masking. So I stamped that on a sticky pad and cut it out, and you want to make sure you have some of the sticky on the back. So I'm going to cover up my stamp that I did, and I'm going to try. I have these stamps that have some kind of curly cues. And I'm just kind of goofing around right here. I don't really have a plan in mind, so which you probably can tell that already. Pull this one off, and I think that might be a good curly cue for right here. So let's just put that like right there. And we're going to lift that one up, and I have, again, this is probably going to look rather hideous, but I've got this kind of hugely bright orange. I'm going to cover this one up. But this would work well if you have like a layered flower stamp. You want to do some leaves, you want to mask what you're doing, so let's push down on that. Can do it again because I put a lot of ink on there. Then you can kind of pull this off, and you can see I've got my kind of curly cue coming out for my design. I did order these layered rose stamps from their Hampton Art from Blitsy to go along with this. There's some roses, 2 different roses, and some leaves. I did find these a little frustrating because I wasn't quite sure how they meant to line up the roses, but I actually stamped this one out, and it did come out alright, so I just kind of guessed with my layers. Again, you can just kind of guess. I just thought this is kind of an interesting looking project. This is a great little toy, I guess, tool for doing stamping if you really like to do stamping. I've really enjoyed it. And on this, I'm going to cut these out here shortly. I have a scan and cut machine, which I'll make another video on how that works, as opposed to trying to line this up with the die cuts, which sometimes I get them right, sometimes I get them wrong. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, get in contact with me. Thanks again, and happy crafting.